After weeks of back and forth over the 2022 budget, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says he has written to Parliament on the instruction of President Akufo-Addo to modify 7 key issues in the budget. The minority had raised 5 issues, key among them the introduction of the E-levy and the exclusion of the Kitasi Defense Project. Speaking to the media, the Finance Minister said no decision has been made on reviewing the E-levy, but a continuous negotiation is ongoing with a minority. He disclosed, however, that at least 10 million cedis will be made available for feasibility studies on the Blekusu Coastal Protection Project.
So on behalf of the President, I have written to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament with details of modifications in response to emerging concerns by all stakeholders, including the Minority Caucus. Please allow me to update the people of Ghana on what we have proposed, on the modifications that we have submitted to the Speaker. With regards to Ejapa Royalties Limited, we shall amend paragraphs 442 and 443 to take out reference to mineral royalties collateralization. It's important to note that any reference to Ejapa was for information purpose and as such was not reflected in the fiscal framework of the budget. In respect of the unfortunate tidal waves which rendered about 3,000 people homeless in Keta, Ketu South, and Anloga constituencies, we shall make the necessary budgetary allocations of at least 10 million Ghana cedis to complete the feasibility engineering studies for the coastal communities adversely affected. We'll broaden the scope of the study to consider a more comprehensive solution to protect Ghana's 540 kilometers of coastline, including the 149 kilometers between Aflawe and Prampram. Meanwhile, NADMO has responded to the humanitarian crisis created by the tidal waves on the coastline. Relating to the Acre energy transaction, we shall amend paragraphs 829 of the 2022 budget on the acquisition of a stake from Acre Energy and AGM Petroleum by GMPC to reflect the resolution of Parliament dated 6 July 2021 that the terms and conditions of the loan for the acquisition of the shares shall be brought to Parliament for consideration pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution. And on the benchmark values, we shall avert any hardship to importers and consumers while safeguarding the interests of local manufacturing industries to secure and expand jobs for our people. The administrative exercise, which review 43 out of 81 line items, has the objective to promote local manufacturing and the 1D1F policy.
However, on the continuous E-levy proposal, the Finance Minister says there's currently ongoing high-level negotiations to reach a compromise on the subject. The government does not seem to agree with suggestions to withdraw the levy because, according to the Finance Minister, the E-levy is critical to broaden the tax base of the country and raise enough revenue for critical government business.
We will work with the relevant committees of Parliament to reflect these modifications in the 2022 budget, as is the usual practice before the appropriation bill is passed. Any other concerns which will emerge shall be addressed during the discussions of the estimates by the committee, as has been the tradition. On the matter of the E-levy, the elephant in the room, having regard to its serious fiscal implications, we'll continue our consultations with the Minority Caucus in Parliament and other relevant stakeholders with a view to achieving consensus and reverting to the House in the shortest possible time. Ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the budget secured on 30th November 2021, we should now move on to the urgent task of working towards the passage of the appropriation bill before Parliament rises on December 17, 2021. We believe that the concerns raised in Parliament on the 2022 budget should be resolved during the discussions of the budget estimate of MDAs, other government obligations, and bills at the committee level in Parliament, as we have always done. Indeed, there have been occasions that Parliament, through the Finance Committee, had revised fiscal measures. There have also been several instances that estimates of some MDAs have been revised to reflect recommendations of the committees of Parliament. It is not uncommon for the allocations in the appropriation to change to reflect the discussions at the consideration stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the national budget remains the single most effective tool to address the greatest challenges of our nation. As a country, we cannot allow such a strategic national tool to be held hostage by partisan or parochial interests, especially when the consideration stage offers every opportunity for such redress. The 2022 budget has an added layer of significance for government as it drives forward the great mission of our time, building a sustainable entrepreneurial nation.
The minister has also been paring away suggestions that the 241 million cedis allocated in the budget for e-transaction levy services is to enrich cronies. According to Ken Oforiatta, no decision has been taken on the entity to help in the collection of the levy, but GRA will be in charge and will make such a decision if necessary.
1 million 241 million for the establishment or the facilitation of the E-levy. Is that the question?
Yeah, the question is there's a 241 million in the budget. What is it for?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. You know, typically, well, not typically, we do have an understanding of GRA which uses approximately 3% or so of the money it raises for ensuring that they can make such collections. So truly, this 241 million, it's reserves that we intended to put aside to facilitate GRA's collection of these resources. Now it will be up to GRA to find the means in which they would ensure that with this new tax handle that they have never experienced, they will use their own resources, they will use the current common platform, engage whoever they think is appropriate to ensure that this works, because this has to work. It's our expectation that because of systems that they have already, that may not be required. In addition, typically when we have new tax measures, there's the issue of refunds, and we usually make some compensation for that, maybe sometimes 6% or so of the value, to ensure that if those refunds come, we are able to pay for them. So in essence, this really will be to back up GRA in the way in which we ensure that all of the problems that people envisage and the difficulties other countries have had, we should be ready to support that. There's no agreement with anybody at GRA or Ministry of Finance as to a service provider for this, but quite a number of local Ghanaian companies who helped us with Ghana.gov, you know, have been approached to look at this problem to ensure that we establish it, you know, a lot more firmly.
Ken Oforiatta has been warning that there will be severe economic implications if Parliament does not approve the estimates and ensuing Appropriation Act before it breaks on 17th this month.
The full consequences of not passing a budget are serious. This would imply that from 1st January 2022, for government to continue work, we will need to obtain parliamentary approval to spend in advance of appropriation. Other than that, the entire government will have to shut down, which will mean, to name a few, no salaries for the almost 700 public sector workers, including nurses, doctors, teachers, personnel of the security services, no government services and other expenditures, including payment of contractors, uncertainties in the business environment, and pressure on the currency leading to currency depreciation. Furthermore, would have incurred devastating damage to our fiscal consolidation program, debt sustainability, and international capital markets credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, government is very committed to addressing the challenges we face as a nation and sustaining our recovery from the impact of the pandemic within our fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. We have a very competent team managing the economy, and the prospects are bright. I believe that this budget sets us on a path of irreversible transformation, from dependence on the state to individual enterprise, from generation of job seekers to a generation of job creators, and from a place of inertia and uncertainty to enterprise, innovation, and progress for all.